Well, it appears the next step in the calamitous disaster that is the migration crisis into the West is unfurled for the United States. And the thing is, I knew we were going to see more stuff that was quite insane. And when you see one thing happen, it's likely to see something similar happen in another place in some sort of similar vein. But I did not expect to see a literal replica of what we had seen unfold in Aurora, Colorado as of late with a migrant gang of Venezuelans, of course, illegal immigrants in the country, overtaking an entire apartment complex, robbing the people who live there blind, and then also robbing people in multiple different surrounding parking lots at night, as well as firing gunshots in the air. Absolutely insane. These people are popping off more than the motherfuckers in Chicago. Speaking of Chicago, that's exactly where we've seen the same instance be replicated now. Apparently, there is an apartment complex in Chicago with 32 Venezuelan migrants that have now overtaken an apartment complex. Isn't that just incredible? And we see similar things happening with them robbing people about. And the thing is that I am quite fascinated about with this topic is the nature of Chicago itself. Because, of course, Chicago being effectively what people call it Chirac, that means you've got some soldiers out there that you're going to have to contend with. And they're the gangsters that are firing shots at each other on the daily. And now it appears that they've aimed their crosshairs upon the Venezuelans, which has been quite interesting to see. But what's even more interesting to see specifically for me would be the fact of how it is that this is being tackled by the city. And why is it that things like this would be happening to these certain cities? Well, Aurora, Colorado is next to Denver, Denver wearing the moniker of a sanctuary city, so we have seen that this is what has allowed something like this to unfurl, as well as Chicago wearing the banner of the title Sanctuary City, meaning that they have been inviting these people in mass despite the fact that they do not have the capacity to take care of them nor create sustainability for these people, thus the individuals coming to places like Chicago many of the times, like these families who are simply trying to create a better life for themselves rather than these horrific criminals and gangsters and these thugs that are running rampant through the streets, robbing innocent people blind. Well, those people are being sold a false bill of goods now, and it's all because of the fact of the inflow of people into the country because the welfare systems of all of these different cities and states cannot sustainably take care of all of these different people and all of their needs. It is so obvious, but of course, does that matter to the Democrats who so openly advocate for things like open borders, sanctuary cities, and the massive inflow of immigrants? No, of course not, because they don't actually have forethought to think about this beyond the standard of what has been presented to them by the talking points of the media, and that is exactly what you see on repeat. These are not thinking people, these are simply just entities that are meant to convey the narrative. Now let's go ahead and throw it into this man from Chicago explaining to the Venezuelan migrants that you certainly shouldn't have tried this here.
To all Venezuelans in Chicago, this is the warning. If you ain't on no bullshit, stay neutral. Somebody please translate. Stay neutral. If you know somebody that's in your building on bullshit, don't let them run in that building, and don't let nobody see them run in that building. Because once word get out that that's the building that they in, they gonna chop that bitch down. Whatever building, the abandoned building y'all occupying and all that shit, yeah, you better get your food and just stay in the house. Because they come out doing some bullshit, y'all gonna regret that. You're gonna really regret that. So, I don't speak Spanish, so somebody need to translate. I hope they got TikTok that translate, I guess. They can kind of make me seem like I'm speaking Spanish. But anyway, take this like a grain of salt if you like. But this ain't Colorado. This ain't Utah. This ain't none of them places. This is just like where you from. The only difference is y'all use a lot of handgun, old revolvers, and machetes and shit. We got switches. We got switches. If you're not familiar with what a switch is, we will show you. We don't really be with all the telling and shit. But we will definitely show you what a switch is. So, again, somebody translate. Yeah. Make this known. This ain't like Colorado. I'm just saying.
Isn't that just something? This ain't like Colorado, he says, and oh my goodness, would I have to agree on that. And you can just tell by the response that's being given that you're going to be met with a bit of a different reaction. So, the thing that I find most interesting about this is, like I've already stated, this isn't the first time that we've seen this happen in Chicago specifically. It had already happened in Colorado, which is what this article here that you see is talking about. And if you're not familiar with this event in its totality, link in the description down below or in the pin above you right now, you will be able to find the video that I already made talking about this issue. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump in now. Cops declare apartments overrun with Venezuelan gangs. Police in Colorado are set to clear an apartment complex that was overrun with Venezuelan gangs after the mayor said he would request an emergency court order to free the buildings of organized criminal activity. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman announced on Friday that the city's attorney office will seek legal assistance to have the properties designated as a criminal nuisance. It comes after the footage emerged online of the gang storming the apartment complex. Former President Donald Trump said at a campaign rally Friday that the town has been overrun, and while that's not actually accurate, due to the fact that you're seeing Venezuelan gangsters quite literally overtake entire buildings and rob people in mass, you can understand why someone would take this at face value and be like, look, the entire town is overrun. While Trump is wrong, it's understandable why he's saying this. This will require a municipal judge to issue the order with the goal of getting these properties back under the control of the property owners, Kaufman said in a post on Facebook. That's right, you heard it correctly. The people who own these properties, whether it be the people who actually own the building or those who live within it, have effectively been excommunicated from the actual property itself, and it is because it is being essentially held hostage by these Venezuelan gangsters. We jump down a little further and we see, I strongly believe the best course of action is to shut these buildings down and make sure this never happens again, he said on social media. Okay, interesting that. But how is it that you would stop something like this from happening again? Oh, you would tackle the concept of sanctuary cities and you would actually address the fact of how this needs to be something that's brought to an end. Of course, Aurora, Colorado, not specifically a sanctuary city, but it makes me wonder, will this start to be a conversation that's had even more in a place like Chicago? Because the thing is, it's already been a conversation for quite some time. Here you can see from the Chicago Sun-Times, should Chicago stay a sanctuary city? Ask voters, council members say. To get the question of whether Chicago should remain a welcoming city on the ballot of Ninth Ward, something Anthony Beale first needs 26 of his colleagues to vote for it. Oh, Alderman Anthony Beale. How did I not get that right the first time? Absolutely fucking pathetic. I'm retarded. Anyways, moving on. Here we see from the Chicago Tribune timeline. Chicago's more than 40-year history as a sanctuary city, and I already went through this. If you would like to actually check this out, link in the description down below. It's realistically not that interesting. But anyways, now we jump on, and here we see from ABC7, a local Chicago news station, most Chicagoans prefer to end sanctuary city status. Ah, is that so? And I wonder why that could possibly be. Well, it comes with the fact of the mass influx of illegal immigrants, obviously, but not only that, we also see what's going on with these Venezuelan gangsters now overrunning literal properties, robbing people en masse, firing shots into the sky, and now, in some ways, as has been seen on social media, which I was not able to find the video of, challenging the gangsters in Chicago for dominance. Well, it would make you understand why it is that so many people would be willing to, I don't know, advocate for ending the title of sanctuary city and revoking the status for that of a place like Chicago or Denver or any of these other places that are trying to claim it. They're just open to immigrants. Of course, with the mass inflow of people that we see into the country, many of which criminals from other lands, you can see that they'll be pouring in, and that would be nothing more than, let's say, a ripe and rich target environment for you to go ahead and make buku bucks off of robbing people in mass, as you were already doing in your country of origin. So let's go ahead now and throw it into this clip that I was able to find, which is effectively audio from someone who had called into a 9/11 dispatcher talking about how essentially 32 Venezuelan gangsters had overtaken an entire apartment complex.
Unit 3 on Citywide, person with a gun, 6124 South King Drive. Caller says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. All stairwells are filled. Nothing further is unclear.
Hey, I'm sorry. Are you headed over to the shot splitter or to the 6124 on King for the migrants?
On King Drive.
All right, 10-4. There's another available unit to arrive at 310. We had multiple calls. First with the gun, 6124 South King. Also came over to disturbance large gathering. Could be 32 Venezuelans trespassing in the building property, showing guns in the courtyard. They have motorcycles in the courtway, all stairwells filled, and nothing further.
Okay, turns out I was wrong. That's not a clip from someone calling into a 911 dispatcher. That is a 911 dispatcher calling police and telling them what is going on and informing them of what they have to do. So what we see is police are being given orders to tackle this problem. But what you need to realize is, because you're dealing with, I don't know, illegal immigrants in a sanctuary city under that of a progressive district attorney, you can understand that it doesn't matter the crimes that are committed, these repeat offenders will be let back out onto the streets. And if you don't believe me, how about you listen to a police officer from a city such as this talking about an illegal immigrant who was suspected of a double homicide and had to be let back onto the streets because they're a sanctuary city.
We'll grab his information and see what we can do, but this, like I said,
Can you please collect the information? He said that he's already illegal. He already said that he went to...
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he is legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't. Because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal, undocumented.
So you're going to let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're going to let him go free right now to this elevator?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to call ICE to come pick him up and deport him.
He came to pick up $320,000 from him or mine grandmother and grandfather, and he's walking away freely right now, right? That's what I'm understanding right now.
I understand that, but you're asking me to call ICE or the...
I'm not asking you to call ICE. We're just asking you to take seriously that he's trying to repeat offend when he's already illegal.
Let's be completely honest. Do I really need to say any more at all whatsoever? No, of course not, because you heard it from the mouth of that police officer. It doesn't matter if you are a repeat offender, we're going to let them back out on the street because they are an illegal immigrant and we are a sanctuary city. That's right. And this is something that you're going to see tilt people against immigration en masse and not just illegal. And that is exactly what you saw start to happen in places like Western Europe and now that of the UK with Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and England all having massive riots against the fact of what's going on with the infiltration of immigrants into their country, and of course done so legally and illegally, but not stopping any of the illegal channels of migrants. We see that it is only tilting people even further against that as we see the cultural shift in all of these different nations where so many of these different peoples from different lands are flooding in are no longer the same as they once were. And because of this, those people that grew up in a land that they no longer can recognize, they only despise the people that are flooding in from nations afar. And it's not that these people that want better lives for their families are terrible individuals and that they hate them for that fact. They hate that they see the nature of the world that they wanted to raise their children in changing in a way that they never could have predicted, and because of that fact alone, and they see the destabilization of the culture that they value so much being thrown by the wayside, they will then only hate those who are destroying it as they see it. I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Stay lovely, stay great, and most importantly, my friends, as always, go tell someone you love them. Peace out.